Well, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Thank you for joining me. I have a really cool and weird knife on the table. Now, this is either an MCusta or MCusta. I've heard it said both ways. My instinct is to say MCusta, but I think it might be MCusta. I don't know. It's a Japanese knife out of Seki City, Japan. It's really, well, this belongs to Women Carry Knives. She fell in love with it, and I don't blame her. It's really interesting. So let's take a look at it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. It is VG10 core Damascus. The blade is beautiful. I mean, look at that, right? It's got a hammered finish across the top. The scales are aluminum with steel liners. It is a liner lock, and we are locked up at, 20%. It's got plenty of room left. The aluminum scales have this nice cross-hatching pattern in it. This one is deep carry, so this is the Fusion. There is a version of this knife that is tipped down that is called something else, but this one is called the Fusion, and I think the difference is that they swapped it to tip-up carry. It's very comfortable. It's very well made. It's pretty. And so far, at least, this thing has held a superb edge. Now, Women Carry Knives has had this for a little while. She's done some basic cutting with it, and I've carried it a little bit to do some cutting with it too. And the VG10 Damascus, I'm saying VG10 Damascus because that's what I've seen said about it. I could be wrong. It looks a little like Sanmai, but I don't think so. Maybe. If it's VG10 core, then it may be Sanmai folded. But I mean, look at the beautiful lines. It's just lovely. I don't know that much about MCusta or MCusta knives. This is the first one I've really had a chance to experience. And everything I've read about them says that they're really well made and really well done. And my experience with this one just supports that. Now, the action on this is a little stiff. It's not what you'd call a drop shut knife. But that's because I'm fairly confident it's just running on washers. A lot of Japanese knife companies, Rockstead being another one, don't seem to have any interest in the sort of modern knife world's fascination with drop shut. They just don't do that. I think that Japanese knife makers tend to be more interested in a more thoughtful deployment, and particularly on the close. It's smooth, right? But it's not going to drop shut on you. The snap open is really well done. The detent on this seems to be really nice. What do you guys think of the yellow? I must admit, when Women Carry Knives first picked this thing up, I was like, yeah, no. And then I got a chance to carry it and hold it. And I'll tell you, it is really comfortable in hand. I don't know if she's reviewed this yet or not. I'm not sure if this will come out before or after her review, but I'm glad I got a chance to look at it. One of the lovely things about our relationship and about her being kind of a knife nut, well, entirely a knife nut on her own, is that I get to explore knives I would not normally get because her taste is different than mine. And that's paying off because that means I get to see cool stuff like this. So as I said, it's aluminum with steel liners. It's got a nice deep carry clip. It's got good spring. The ramp's a little small. You do have to lift it a little bit to get it into thicker jeans. It's got a little bit of jimping back here and a little bit of jimping up here for your thumb. There is a little bit of jimping at this end as well, which, depending on how you're holding the knife, pays dividend. It's got a lovely neutral handle shape. It's got a little curve to it, but not much, which means that kind of no matter where you grip it or how you grip it, it's comfortable. The aluminum scales, as I've said 2 or 3 times already, make it nice and light, which is good. The pocket clip is held on through 2 screws at the back and folds over the side, which tells me I'm pretty sure you could just swap that if you wanted to. It might not be facing the right way by a little bit because it's got a little bit of an angle to it, but I'm pretty sure you could left hand this knife fairly easily. And because it's thumb stud deployed, and it is dual thumb studs, it doesn't matter which side you hold it on. Again, with a liner lock, it's always going to be on this side, but you can, you can do that fairly easily if you're left-handed, so that's good. Let's get some let's do some size comparisons. It's not a huge knife. Here it is against our old friend the Bug Out, which looks particularly drab in comparison to the Fusion here. They have very similar cutting length. There's a little bit more on the MCusta and considerably more handle. And of course, it is a lot thicker, but it's not, like I said, it's not a tank. It's just comfortable for it. Let's do size comparisons against some other interesting things. Oh, I know what I have on the table. I have her Curtis Knives Cruise. Another kind of fancy and beautiful knife. The MCusta Fusion. Fusion is just a little smaller. What else do we have? Well, here it is against our old friend the Rat 1, just because we always do that. And as you can see, the Rat 1 is considerably bigger. The Fusion is not a big knife. It's just comfortable and well done. The basic specs read like this. You get 3.1 inches of cutting on just shy of 3.5 inches of that VG10 Damascus. The grip area from behind that swell. Now, I never do it right to the end because nobody holds it right up there, so I always come back just a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, and a little over 3.5, which is why my finger comes just over the edge, right? But still really comfortable. I really like this thing. Knife from tip to tail is, let's see, where are we? 7 3/4. It is a good sized knife. I love the blade shape, right? Really straightforward, very stabby, got a nice fine tip. The Damascus patterning keeps making me think that it's hollow ground. I don't think that it is. And if it is, it's just ever so gently hollow ground. I will say the annoying thing, there's one annoying thing about this knife, and that is that I have never had an interest in having a Rockstead. They're just too expensive. They're just too extra. But this knife is a little extra too, but in all the right ways. And if the Rocksteads are the same qualities that this thing brings, only more so, yeah, I'm going to have to borrow one from somebody. Closed profile on this knife is a real joy because it's thumb stud deployed and it's very lean, right? So you're looking at less than 1.25 inches in the pocket. It sits very well when you're carrying it. There's nothing to stab or jab into the things in your pocket, which is a really nice touch. The closed profile on the closed length, excuse me, is 4.25. Yeah, a little over 4.25, but not much. This is just a cool knife. I know. It's bright, shiny, and it's fancy blade, and I usually complain about such things, but there is something about the way this knife is done that I have just no complaints and all sorts of little happy thoughts about it. It is very cool. I guess we should weigh it. I'm curious with the aluminum scales where we fall out at. Let's find out. Please stand by. Okay, let's try that again. Hey, look at that. 3.5 ounces. It is a relatively lightweight knife. I mean, it's not a Bug Out, but very little is. By way of comparison, the Mini RSK1 is 2.7. Right? So this is all metal. It's just not a very heavy knife. It's well done. And there we are. This is the MCusta or MCusta, I think, depending on how you want to say it. I'm sure there's a right way. I'm just not 100% sure what that right way is. Fusion, an excellent knife out of Seki City, Japan. Well made, beautiful, and interesting. And these are about $168, $170 right there in that range. And they are available if you wanted one. I'll find a link for one and put it in the description of the video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been a really interesting knife. I'm glad I got a chance to look at it. I hope you have enjoyed getting a look at it as well. We'll see you next time.